The strong do as they wish, the weak suffer as they must. That's a famous line from the Peloponnesian Wars by the great Greek historian Thucydides. But does Thucydides' dictum accurately describe world politics? I'm Jim Lindsay, and this is Lessons Learned. Our topic today is the seizure of the USS Pueblo on January 23, 1968. The USS Pueblo was a naval intelligence ship operating in international waters off the east coast of North Korea. The Pueblo's mission was straightforward. It was to monitor Soviet naval activity in the area, as well as to intercept signals and electronic intelligence coming from North Korea. On that cold, hazy January morning, the Pueblo suddenly found itself under attack from several North Korean ships. Outnumbered and outgunned, the crew of the Pueblo scrambled to destroy confidential documents, as well as the secret espionage equipment on board to make sure that neither fell into the hands of the North Koreans. The fighting lasted less than 3 hours. When the smoke cleared, 1 American sailor was dead, and 82 Americans would spend the next 11 months in captivity, where they would be tortured and starved. When they were finally released in December of 1968, Lloyd Booker, the commanding officer of the Pueblo, would say it was like coming out of the grave. So why didn't Thucydides' dictum of the strong doing as they wish prevail in the case of the USS Pueblo? Why didn't the Johnson administration use America's overwhelming military might either to rescue the crew or to compel Pyongyang to release the Americans immediately? Well, the Johnson administration faced 2 constraints. The most immediate one was its calculation that any rescue attempt was likely to lead to the death of the sailors. But a bigger constraint and broader concern was that any attempt to move militarily against North Korea would likely provoke another Korean War at a time when the United States was already at war in Vietnam. Indeed, just a week after the seizure of the USS Pueblo would be the Tet Offensive, which would shock the American public, undermine its confidence in the Johnson administration's handling of Vietnam policy, and ultimately persuade President Johnson not to seek re-election that November. Now, the Pueblo incident is hardly atypical in world history. There are plenty of examples of weaker powers getting in their way. The broader lesson here in world politics is that great power does not guarantee great success in foreign policy. The weaker power may have more at stake. The weaker power may be willing to pay a higher price or run greater risks, while the stronger power may judge that what's at stake isn't worth pursuing, or make calculations that the costs of action far outweigh any potential benefits. It's important to keep this lesson in mind as we talk about a number of the issues in world politics today, whether we're thinking of efforts to coerce Iran into abandoning its nuclear program, or we're talking about the likely outcome of the civil war in Syria. When we look at foreign policy, it's important to look not just at the relative power of the various parties, but also at issues like their will, their skill, how much risk they're likely to tolerate, and the likely calculations about how different strategies will play out and whether the costs will be worth the benefits and vice versa. The reason we look at these issues this way is because the past can help inform the present and help us make proper policy choices. As the great writer Robert Penn Warren put it, the past is always a rebuke to the present.